right now, as you guys sit here, you have a total net worth of about $2.5 million. First of all, that's wild, right? Like, isn't that incredible? You can see that you have about $100,000 in cash. You have about 1.7 in investment assets and another $630,000 in rental properties, which is amazing. So we should just pause for a moment and say, you guys have done a fantastic job. And so I think one of the questions that the audience probably has is, how'd you get here? What's your story? How did you end up where you are today?
By the way, Heather's reaction, do y'all go over a net worth statement every year? Or,
did you just figure this out for the first time?
Does this shock you to see? Is this a shock and awe moment?
I knew it was upwards, but not, no, I did not know it was that.
Chris, what are we doing here? You know you're supposed to be having annual net worth meetings.
It's not annual. It's all the time. I tell her, hey, guess what? And she just doesn't care as much as I do.
Wait, how are we doing on a monthly basis? Good? Okay, great.
That's it. Just check in. We're doing great. So how'd you guys get here? What's the story? Give us the background. How did you get to this spot at 51 years old?
There's been a lot of highs and lows. Yeah. And honestly, for most of my life, I didn't know what I was doing with in terms of money. I started working, and it was right before, when the .com stuff started happening. And, it was pretty easy to get good money back then. Right away, I made some pretty good money. I bought a house fairly early. But as far as like what to invest in and how much to save, I was just guessing. So right out of my first job, I got a 401k. I'm like, how much should I put in? I'm like, it says I could put in this much. I'll just put in that, whatever the maximum was.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And so
that's a good decision.
Yeah, and so I was living off not very much money, but I thought that's just what everyone did because it seemed like the smart thing to do. And so that ended up being a lot of what our retirement, but it seems like just by luck, I don't know.
You didn't really plan anything. You just say, hey, I can save this much. I'm going to start saving. And without a whole lot of strategy, just starting early and saving worked out pretty well,
yes.
right?
But it was easy for me because I was just living by myself and I could live on $20 a week of food and stuff like that. We got married, then she's like, yeah, we're not.
Things changed a little bit. Things changed a little bit.
Yeah. Investing, it was difficult to know what to do. And so there was a lot of just luck as far as, I got into the real estate at the right time, but then my dad would help me with investing. And I just kind of let him, you're the finance guy, you just take control of it. And it turns out he didn't really know what he was doing very much. So I don't know how, I couldn't tell you how much my money grew and how much I put in or anything back then because I didn't.
You were just saving. You weren't focusing on a whole lot other than I know I'm saving for the future. I'm just kind of let the money do what the money does.
Yeah, exactly.
What I want people to hear is you didn't have to know exactly what you were doing. And you didn't have to get every single decision right, but you got one decision right. And that one decision was, hey, we're going to start saving pretty early, and we're just going to let that money work. Am I accurately encapsulating what the story was?
And even in the the leaner times, like the messy middle times, we were still saving, I would say, around 10% or so, maybe 13%.
Sure.
And so we were always putting something away.
A lot of people go see this and say, but yeah, he said he was maxing it out. But I could tell by the tone, were there some mistakes? Or I think it's always good to share, because I know I made look, I wrote a book, and half of the book is all the mistakes I made and how not to make those for yourself. Were there any mistakes at the beginning also, Chris?
Yeah, we took a big hit right around the time of the 2008
Great Recession.
Great Recession.
And I had loaned my dad a big sum of money, is over $100,000, and he lost it all. And so we basically had a rental property. We took out a mortgage to give him money with it, and now we had this big payment, and he wasn't paying it back, and so it was pretty lean at that time.
Yeah.
Heather, because I know families are tough. Your parents especially, they give you life, so that puts you in a certain status. But here you are, the spouse. I mean, how was that season?
Well, I felt horrible for him because it's his dad.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like my experience wasn't his experience for sure. And so it was just trying to support him and all that, and just, okay, where do we go from here type attitude. Because it was hard because it's sticky because it's family.
Real messy. Real messy.
And then with him having regrets about things, and so it's like, no, but where do we go? what steps should we take? And I knew he's a very logical person, so he looks at data. And so I kind of just followed so it was like, okay, what's our food budget? What can we afford? What can we, what steps do we take? What can we stay in our house? Can we, And so he was really good about just guiding us along there. So I just kind of leaned on him too with that, because he could talk at me all he wanted, I suppose, but it was just like I knew he had a better picture of our finances than I did at that time.
Well, not really, because that's actually when we started.
Yeah.
We started actually figuring out
Is
our
that
budget
what
and
caused
stuff.
you to start thinking about finance? You said earlier on you didn't think about it at the time.
Yeah.
Is that the thing,
Well,
the catalyst that made you start focusing on it and taking it seriously?
Well, when we first got married, I wanted to do a budget. And so I developed my own budgeting software. And it was...
That's what I did when I wanted to do a budget. I just went and built my own software.
It was horrible. It was so hard to use. And that I ended up not using it. And that was kind of the end of the budget. It was like, this is so difficult to get anything done.
Yeah.
And then when this happened, I had thought that we had been living, pretty responsibly.
Right.
And it just, when I started going through the numbers, I'm like, man, there's a lot of inefficiency and waste and things like that we can figure out. And so we just went through all of the expenses and just started like, we can cut this, we can cut that. This is wasteful. And we got to this bare bones budget, and we're like, all right, if we do this, we'll be okay.
Like we can get out of this hole.
It'll be difficult, but it'll be fine.
You had to make some tough decisions, but you did, and were able to crawl out of it.
Yeah.
What I think is amazing is that even with that hardship, and that hits you to the core because it's family, it's your blood, but yet here we are. We're about to have a discussion on your multi-million-dollar net worth with zero debt. I mean, isn't that amazing? And I think that is so good for anyone to hear. Is that this journey doesn't have to be perfect.
That's right.
You can make lots of mistakes and still come out on the other side, because the thing that you said was luck. At the beginning, you weren't giving yourself enough credit. And I keep hearing this theme. You're very disciplined. And discipline is that first ingredient to wealth creation. And just the wake up and utilizing that is pretty amazing.